Man, ain't no telling where I'll be.
Mr. Wilson would've known.
Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me.
So good to me.
Yeah. Wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yeah, how it's been good to me.
So good to me.
Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking cheap, I pay the cost, me and my lines really live it. I don't even
Shalom, shalom, Israel. Welcome back to another episode of Deconstruction. Unfortunately, Deacon Kanash is not able to be with us. He's been having a situation with his ear that's been ongoing, so please keep him in your prayers. But nonetheless, we are going to continue on. Tonight's lesson is called Believe. Believe, right? Let's get the definition. Believe, to consider to be true or honest, to accept the word or evidence of, to hold as an opinion or suppose, to accept something as true, genuine, or real. I like this one. To have a firm or wholehearted religious conviction or persuasion to regard the existence of God. Excuse me. Let's start off with Hebrews chapter 11. Let's get verse 1 down to verse 10.
This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 11 and verse 1. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen.
Okay, so faith, the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. So in this walk, a lot of times people believe that blind faith is something that's beautiful. Blind faith in God is something that's required. And that hardly ever has really been the case, right? First and foremost, you have the scriptures. But even when you look at stories like Moses, right? He was very early in Israel's history. He was called out of the life that he knew to be of service to the Most High, to be a savior unto his people. The Most High first showed him a miracle, burning bush. Wow, right? But it's not being consumed the way that normal wood would be consumed. Then you look at the miracles that he had Moses perform. It wasn't just the expectation of, hey, you hear this voice, do this. He gave him evidence. He gave him substance. He showed him miracles. And then he said, when the people question you, then give them my name and tell them the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob sent you, right? But there is something to be able to substantiate what you believe, what you feel, what you regard as fact, what you accept, right? Go ahead.
Verse 2. For by it the elders obtained a good report. Through faith we understand that the worlds were framed by the word of God, so that things which are seen were not made of the things which do appear. By faith Abel offered unto God a more excellent sacrifice than Cain, by which he obtained witness that he was righteous, God testifying of his gifts, and by it he, being dead, yet speaketh.
So, through faith, the elders obtained a good name, because you can be an elder that doesn't automatically give you a good name, right? Now, it is an honor because ultimately the Most High has allowed you to live to see your elder years. But being a faithful elder is what really makes a man or a woman worthy of those double honors, right? Through faith, we understand that the worlds were framed by the word of God, so that the things which are seen were not of things which do appear, right? We're talking about the creation. By faith, Abel offered unto God a more excellent sacrifice than Cain. Cain had the ability to offer the same thing Abel was offering as far as the physical aspect of it. But he withheld some of the goods that he had, not having the right faith, and it wasn't regarded equal to Abel's sacrifice, right? And Abel, because of his faith, even though he's been gone for how many thousands of years, his words still reign true. His story, we're still talking about his name, right? He's gone, but yet he speaks. Go ahead.
Verse 5. By faith Enoch was translated that he should not see death, and was not found, because God had translated him. For before his translation, he had this testimony, that he pleased God.
So Enoch, there were only two people that I've ever seen in the scriptures that were translated and did not have to die. Enoch and Elijah. Or Elisha. I always mix their names up. It was Elijah, right? Elijah. Enoch and Elijah. And it said, for before his translation, so before he was called up, he had this testimony that he pleased God because he was faithful and he believed what he was doing. He believed and kept the faith with a level of discipline, with a level of diligence, with a level of care. Go ahead.
Verse 6. But without faith, it is impossible to please him.
It said, for without faith, it is impossible to please God, right? And in so many ways, whatever it is that you do, you have to have a level of belief behind it. And there's a huge difference between when someone's doing something and they don't believe or they don't believe enough, and someone who they are fully sold out in what it is that they're doing. Go ahead.
For he that cometh to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. By faith, Noah, being warned of God of things not seen as yet, moved with fear, prepared an ark to the saving of his house, by which he condemned the world and became heir to the righteous which is by faith.
So, it is impossible to please God without faith, because if you come to God, you must believe that he is. Imagine someone's asking you to do something. Hey, can you reach this top shelf and grab me this out of the grocery store? And then as you approach, they say, well, if you can, or, I don't know if you need to grab something. It's like, no, I got it, right? It may not that may not be a major thing, but it shows that person might have a little bit of doubt. And if that doubt's not necessary, it would make you question, like, well, what was the point of that? Now, imagine if it's something so much more significant. Imagine if it's something that actually is precious to you. It actually is of a large magnitude in your mind and in your heart. You would feel some kind of way if someone's questioning constantly who it is that you are and what it is that you say you're going to do. By faith, Noah, remember, before it wasn't just he got the ark, he had to build it. So he had to go out and cut down the trees. Maybe he purchased some tools. Spend a long time building this ark. Spent a lot of his time, a lot of his money, a lot of his effort, his work to be able to construct this ark. And it had to be made to certain specifications. And they have I believe a 1-to-1 replica. I want to say it's in like Virginia. It's huge. It wasn't an easy task. But because he was warned and he believed, he didn't allow that conviction to stay on his spirit for a moment and then, I still got bills to pay. I still got my life to live. I still got all these things to figure out. He was moved through his faith, moved with fear, prepared an ark to save his family, and he condemned the world. Why? Because they didn't have the faith. Noah was out there warning people. How many of them forsook the wickedness that they were involved in and said, I want to be involved in the construction of this ark? Kentucky. Yeah, that's where the replica is, in Kentucky. None of the people that Noah was warning at that time, minus his sons and their wives, felt compelled to leave off of the wickedness that they were committing and to join Noah and his family in the righteous cause of escaping that judgment, of preparing that ark for the continuing of life after the waters receded. Nobody, he condemned the world because then he becomes the example of that faith, of that devotion, right? Go ahead.
Verse 8. By faith, Abraham, when he was called to go out into the place where he should after receive for an inheritance, obeyed, and he went out, not knowing whither he went.
And see, now you start to see Abraham didn't have blind faith because the Most High was already dealing with him, but he did have some unknowns. That's when that faith really comes in. I don't know how this is going to work. I don't know where I'm going, but I know that the Most High is with me. Abraham was confident enough to leave everything that he knew. Family, friends, community, the familiarity of even the landscape. Left what he knew because he was following the Most High. And through that faith, even though he didn't know where he was going, and I don't think, Abraham wasn't 20, moving and it's all exciting and, hey, I'm going to a new land. I believe he was 80 years old. I mean, he's well past the point in his mind of relocating. Yeah, he passed, he's an elder at this point. And I'm pretty sure in his mind, this is where he's going to live, this is where he's going to die. And the Most High said, no. Go to this land or go in this direction. He gets word that he's going to receive this land as an inheritance, him and his descendants. But it took a lot of faith for him to leave everything that he knew in old age and say, I'm going to follow the Most High. Go ahead.
Verse 9. By faith he sojourned in the land of promise as in a strange country, dwelling in tabernacles with Isaac and Jacob, the heirs with him of the same promise. For he looked for a city which had foundations, whose builder and maker is God.
And remember, when Abraham was back at his place, because it wasn't like he had servants, but he didn't just have like a construction crew of modern day. You got all those machines and power tools, and you take a couple hundred men and you could throw up a pretty good house and, maybe within a year or two. He was dwelling in tents. It said he dwelt in the land of promise as in a strange country. Because if you are traveling to a strange country, you have to reestablish yourself. You have to start from scratch. He didn't go to a place where, okay, cool, there's a mansion bigger and better than the one that you left. He and the servants that went with him, they had to dwell in what they could figure out, which was a tent. Then Isaac and Jacob, same thing. They in tents, dwelling in that land, not realizing, yes, this is going to become their land, but they're unfamiliar with this land. This is the introduction to the promised land that Abraham is receiving with his son and his grandson. That takes a lot of faith because he had to have been, to a certain degree, less comfortable. Imagine right now, you get word. You move out your house. You're not even in a building no more. You in a solid tent. And then, mind you, it never said that there were no inconveniences. We know when we were on the land, it was tents breaking, people tents flying off. You're subject to whatever the weather is going to be doing. You're more cold, you're more exposed, you're more humble. Shalom, Bishop. Yeah, you're more humble. And I mean, you're just dealing with a totally different lifestyle. It never said he never had to make repairs to his tent. It never said, but guess what? He had the faith to endure the inconveniences, to endure some hardship, to endure some discomfort. And that's why the Most High rewarded him so handsomely. He said Abraham was a friend. He would talk to Abraham like, hey, this is what I plan on doing. Not just, hey, this is what's going to happen, write this down. Abraham was willing to negotiate with the Most High. He was able to negotiate with God. Well, what if there's 100? Well, all right, what about 50? That's a lot of grace. That's a lot of honor. That's a lot of intimacy. I mean, that's an incredible feat for a man, the Lord's creation, to be able to ask the Lord and immediately receive, okay, you know what? There's 50, I'll do it. All right, what about 20? All right, even if he was talking to him. Let's hold it right there. Let's go to Matthew chapter 13. All of those things were accomplished and possible because of their faith. Matthew 13, we're going to read 31 through 58. All of that was possible through their faith, through his faith. And look at how, through the acts of the few, where Israel has been able to get. Abraham's faith led him to the promised land. The Most High's covenant established with Isaac, with Jacob. It's the actions of a few good men. Look at the actions of Yahushua, how much that has helped the nation. The prophets, through their faith, able to change the course of history. Let's start at verse 31.
There's the book of Matthew, chapter 13, and verse 31. Another parable put he forth unto them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is like a grain of mustard seed, which a man took and soweth in his field, which indeed is the least of all seeds. But when it is grown, it is the greatest among herbs, and becometh a tree, so that the birds of the air come and lodge in the branches thereof.
I meant to get a picture of this to show just for a brief moment. But a mustard seed is tiny. Like, it is an extremely small seed. Maybe only 2 or 3 times the size of a grain of sand. It's a very, very small seed. But when it's planted, it becomes a massive tree, right? In so much that tree is able to be a benefit to other things. Even then, the birds can come, right? They can come and lodge in the branches thereof. You're able to get food. You're able to get certain medicinal properties from the mustard tree. It's able to do more than what that seed. Oh, you got the picture? Yeah. You're able to pull it up, or?
Yeah, it's on the feed.
Oh, it's on there. All praises. Hold on 1 second. Let me get to it. There it is. Tiny. Look how small that mustard seed is. Are you able to pull up a picture of the actual mustard tree? If you could do that for me real quick, I really appreciate it. So that's where it starts off, right? That little bitty speck, that little tiny thing ends up growing into a tree. And not like a shrub, not like a little bush. Oh my goodness. That was a great picture. The water. Look at that tree. And it started from that little tiny seed that you just saw. He said, the kingdom of heaven is like a grain of the mustard seed, which a man took and sowed in his field. Why? That's what our faith should do. And that's how, when it talks about the kingdom being in you, that's what you're able to do when you believe. Through the faith of one man, he's able to lead a lot of other people to salvation, to the promised land, to hope. Because through that man's faith growing, he's able to be a benefit to so many more. Go ahead.
Verse 33. Another parable spake he unto them. The kingdom of heaven is like unto leaven, which a woman took and hid in 3 measures of meal, till the whole was leavened.
So we know that leaven, like yeast, right? Usually, leaven is associated negatively. But he said, you know, there's a parallel between this leaven and the kingdom of heaven, because what? It causes things to grow. In the path that the Most High has set before a man or a woman's life, you become many different things. You play a lot of different roles. You learn a lot of different skills. You are challenged and you're forced to grow. I think that you're forced to grow. You're not able to stay the same and to get to the point of being worthy of that kingdom or acceptable to be admitted into that kingdom. You're growing. Go ahead.
Verse 34. All these things spake Yahushua unto the multitude in parables, and without a parable spake he not unto them, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by the prophet, saying, I will open my mouth in parables. I will utter things which have been kept secret from the foundation of the world.
Let's drop down, because then he gives the explanation of the parable of the sower and the seed. Let's drop down to verse 44.
Verse 44. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like unto treasure hid in a field, the which when a man hath found, he hideth, and for joy thereof goeth and selleth all that he hath, and buyeth that field.
So think about this, right? If you were, let's just say, well, some people live in rural areas, right? If you were in a rural area, you go to visit family, you go out there for work, you go out there to have a peace of mind, you go camping, whatever. You're in an area and you trip a little bit, you stub your toe, and you look down and you see like a little glitter, a little glimmer of some gold. You're like, oh, dang, look at that. Gold is at an all-time high. This is, oh, wow. You try to pick it up, and you realize that it's stuck in the ground. So you brush away on every side, and you start to realize, oh, wait a minute, this is a good-sized chunk of gold. You spend 2-3 minutes digging in the dirt on every side, and you realize this piece of gold is huge. 10 minutes in, it's a boulder. You're like, oh, my goodness, this is priceless. At that moment, I need this. This will change everything. If I could just get this, I'm good. You go, you pull it up, look it up online. Oh man, that parcel of land is going for $250,000. Whether you get 100 acres with it or not is irrelevant. You already found your treasure. I just need this part. Even if they saying that the part with the gold on it is $250,000, you're dedicated at that point. Man, I'm gonna make this back. I'm gonna get this back. What I stand to gain is far more than anything that I'm gonna lose. So you go and you sell your car. You know what? I'm gonna try and see about taking the bus to get to work. I'm gonna save every little bit of my paycheck to put towards this goal. I'm gonna get my credit fixed and take a loan out from the bank and you're going to be sold out to be able to make this happen because you can see the value of what you've just found. Say if it's 100 pounds of gold. What is that $250,000 when gold is like, I think it's closing in on like 5,500 an ounce. Or, an ounce. 16 ounces to a pound, and you might have just found 30, 40, 60, who knows how many pounds of gold. It would be nothing to say, oh man, I'm going to get it back. You're willing to sacrifice. You're willing to let go. You're willing to give up the things that are going to slow down the goal of accomplishing getting that treasure. He said that's what the kingdom of heaven is like. Because once you realize, okay, I stand to gain so much more, then this is what I want to invest in. If you didn't see that gold and you just saw the land and they talking the prices they talking, oh man, why would I do this? Plenty of land across the country, plenty of land in the world. I bet I could get a better deal. But when I found this treasure, this is the land I need. This is the land I got to get this. That's what he said the kingdom of heaven is like. Go ahead.
Verse 45. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a merchant man seeking goodly pearls, who when he had found one pearl of great price, went and sold all that he had and bought it.
And it's the same. Okay, so same thing. This man's looking for a pearl, and he finds the ultimate pearl. He finds a pearl, and he's like, man, he's only selling it for maybe 100,000 of today's money. That's not impossible to come by. I just got to scrape it together. I got to figure it out. And again, because you know your goal is so much worth more than what you're going to give up, it's a no-brainer. I'll sell whatever I got. Oh, the house worth 50. Okay, this is here. This is it. You'll let it all go to be able to get what you know has the most value. Because you're going to be okay if you can just accomplish that goal. And nothing in your life is going to be as important as this life-changing moment. He said that's what the kingdom of heaven is like. Go ahead.
Verse 47. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a net that was cast into the sea and gathered of every kind, which when it was full, they drew to shore and sat down and gathered to the good unto vessels, but cast the bad away. So shall it be at the end of the world. The angel shall come forth and sever the wicked from among the just.
He said, and it's also, even though it's invaluable, not everyone is going to be acceptable. Because that's why the scriptures say, many are called, but few chosen. This net has been cast into the world, right? And everybody has their opportunity. Everybody has this Bible. And it's in all languages, all tongues, all nations. And yet and still, you see what? You see differences in the way people practice this religion. Religion simply meaning practice. You see a difference in the level of devotion. You see a difference in the level of performance. You see a difference in just about every aspect of what the scriptures show and tell us. So some, I got to keep this one. That's a good one. And some got to get cast away. Let's drop down to verse 53.
Verse 53. And it came to pass that when Yahushua had finished these parables, he departed thence. And when he was come into his own country, he taught them in their synagogue, insomuch that they were astonished and said, whence had this man this wisdom and these mighty works? Is not this the carpenter's son? Is not his mother called Mary, and his brethren James and Joseph and Simon and Judas? And his sisters, are they not all with us? Whence then had this man all these things?
So after he's done with the parables, he goes and he looks, or not looks, he goes into his hometown, right? He goes into his hometown and he's giving them the same thing that he's been giving everybody else. He's given them the instruction. He's given them the parables. He's given them understanding. He's given them wisdom. He's opening the doors for the kingdom of heaven if they would just walk through. And then they said, wait a minute. Ain't that Yahushua? Ain't that Jesus? The carpenter's son? Ain't we talking about, wait, hold on. I know we're not talking about the son of Joseph, and he got a brother named Simon, and a brother, so they start going down the list. Oh yeah, we talking about the same guy. Go ahead.
And they were offended in him.
And they were offended. Who are you? You mean the carpenter's son? You ain't nobody special. You was a carpenter. Plenty of Jakes are carpenters. You ain't nobody special. Joseph, I mean, cool. Yeah, somewhere down the line, you from the Davidic line, but we're not, there's no king in Israel at this point. Not a physical king the way that there was. They're not regarding him as anything. They're not regarding him as who he actually is. They say there's one greater than David who's here. There's one greater than Solomon. There's one greater than the temple who goes back to the town that should have the most familiarity with him. But you know what they say? Familiarity breeds contentment. So they're so familiar, they feel like, man, who are you? And they end up not even regarding who he was. And he said, man, read on.
But Yahushua said unto them, a prophet is not without honor, save in his own country and in his own house.
He said, man, everywhere else he was received with mirth and gladness, for the most part. Now, minus the wicked. The Pharisees, the Sadducees, the scribes, they didn't like to see him coming because he was taking away their influence and affecting their money. But as far as what he was come to do and the purpose he was there to fulfill and the words that he was speaking, the understanding that he was expounding upon, they were amazed, glad to see him. And certain people started to understand, oh, this is him. This is him who's spoken of in the scriptures. It's time to celebrate. He's here. But in his hometown, they like, man, you just that carpenter's son. You Joseph's boy. Who is you? He said, man, everywhere else he went, he was had with honor. But his own country and in his own house, who is you? You just so-and-so. Yeah, you special out there, but them the people that saw him grow up. Maybe they saw him fall when he was playing around as a kid. Maybe they saw some of the things that, you know, he struggled with, or they saw stages of his development that they felt a level of familiarity with. They saw him mature. They saw him gain understanding. They saw him study. And now they're like, man, you ain't nobody. But listen to what happens because of that lack of regard. Go ahead.
And he did not many mighty works there because of their unbelief.
So even though he's here to save Israel and he's amongst his people, he got to a point where he said, he realized, even if I do incredible works to be able to prove all this stuff, they're not going to buy it. They're not going to believe it. This is not going to increase their faith. When he goes to a strange country and they don't know anything about him and all they see is who he is as he stands before them, they regard him, they understand who he is. They place value on his name, on his works, on his mind. But because there's a familiarity, there's not that value that's placed there. And he's like, man, how many miracles am I going to have to perform here for them to believe? And even then, who knows? I remember I saw, I think it was a battle rapper. He said, what did he say? He said, damn him. I mean, I could walk on water. Shalom, Ahmad. He said, I could walk on water and they would say, I bet he can't swim. I was like, damn, that's a cold line. So imagine if Christ, because they like, man, you just Joseph's son. He like, nah, look, I'm the son of God. Watch this. Then he go out there and walk on water. They're going to be like, man, I bet he can't swim. You only learn to walk. It's like, bro, I'm walking on water. You can swim, but you can't walk. He had to realize there's no point of doing these miracles here. They're not going to believe. And he ended up departing. Okay, right. Whatever it is, they're going to come up with some reason to dismiss the incredible things that he's able to do because they have a familiarity with him. Let's go to Revelation chapter 10. And it's not just the familiarity, but the familiarity is an aspect of it, but at that point, they weren't going to believe. They weren't going to have the faith because they felt like they knew him enough. They weren't even looking at how the Most High was using him. They weren't even looking at the supernatural abilities that he had at this point. They weren't even looking at his incredible works. They lacked faith because they thought they knew him so well. Revelation chapter 10, let's start at verse 9, because we're always talking about the community, right? And I see a lot of people. Matter of fact, before we get there, let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 9 and verse 24. It's a lot of people within the community that are disappointed in the community, offended at the community. I seen someone yesterday, or what's today, Friday? Excuse me, yesterday or Wednesday. 5-6 years ago, the Israelite community was so great. I can't say the same now. And it's like, dude, guess what? You're going to have to be that change. Giving up's not going to help. If you sit up here, and this is what this is about to go into, the scriptures compare, that's why we keep calling it this walk, this walk, this walk. Let's read this, 1 Corinthians 9, and let's read verse 24.
Verse 24, know ye not that they which run in a race run all, but one receiveth the prize? So run that ye may obtain.
He said if you're talking about a race, everybody's running. All of them are running, but only one person is really going to be the winner. Yeah, you got the bronze, you got the silver. They're still great accomplishments, but only one gold. Only one top dog. So when you think about, we say this walk, right? We talk about this journey. It's more like a marathon. If you say you're going to run a marathon, and you say, okay, it's, what's today? Today's January the 30th. Let's just say the marathon is in October. You have 9 full months to prepare for this marathon. And you say, you know what? Every morning at 6 in the morning, I'm going to get up and I'm going to run. And I'm going to change my eating habits. And I'm going to stretch every night, and I'm going to, take care of my body and do my electrolytes, and I'm going to foam roll and physical therapy. And it takes a lot of an investment, right? That's why when athletes get sponsors, because it's expensive to be great. It's usually very difficult. There are some extraordinary exceptions. Oh, there's a 10-tribe woman in, I think she was Ecuadorian. She runs marathons in sandals. And everybody's like, how does that... Hey, she built different. But for the most part, most people aren't doing that. It takes a lot of work and effort and sacrifice in order to be great. But I guarantee you, even though she's running in sandals, I guarantee you she trains. If you set all these goals, and then every morning for the next 9 months, you don't get up and you don't run. Every night for the next 9 months, you don't stretch before bed. Every meal for the next 9 months, you disregard nutrition. Can you really say that you desired to win that race? Or did you quit? And here's the thing. A lot of times we suppress that negative feeling, that conviction. We suppress it. But the marathon is still coming. And then the day of the marathon, get out there and you run, and you start off strong because it's the very beginning. You haven't learned about pacing. You haven't learned about endurance. You haven't built any endurance. And a quarter mile down the road, the back of your legs are on fire. You're getting that itch in your legs. Your lower back is hurting. It's tightening up. It's locking up on you. You don't have the best shoes, and now you realize, oh man, I probably should have taped my toes up. I'm getting blisters. I'm getting friction burns. You don't have electrolytes, and you don't even have the best water system because you never built the experience. Quarter mile, half a mile, maybe even a full mile into this marathon, you say, oh, I quit. The reality is that's not when you quit. You quit 9 months ago when you didn't get up, or at least 6 months ago, 5 months ago. As the time gets closer and you're not chasing that goal, you're not getting up, you're not applying that faith, you're quitting. So when you get there and it's time to perform and it's an impossible task, that's when people say, oh, this is where I'm quitting. But you quit a long time ago. You just didn't realize it about yourself. You just didn't realize that faith has run out, that conviction, that gumption, that excitement has run out. That's unfortunately a lot of people within the community. People give up on themselves, people give up on the community, and people give up on the Most High. There are a number of people who have, for lack of better words, fallen away from this truth, right? And sometimes you'll still see them or come in contact with them. I was talking to Yashamai not too long ago about a brother that we used to know. Real good brother, man. He lost his drive. He fell away. But he might be able to be restored. And he was like, man, he didn't believe. I can't be saved no more. It was like, dude, but you probably could if you would come back and try. Scriptures say all sin can be forgiven of man except for blasphemy. There's still a chance. But because he's already in this defeated mindset, he's not even going to rejoin the race. You ever seen somebody, what do they call it? Not pole vaulting. What is the one where they run and then they jump? I can't remember the name of that. It's a track. Dang, what's the name of that? Y'all know what I'm talking about, though. Huh? No, not the long jump. They jump over like multiple barriers while they're racing. And I've seen a number of videos where people fall, and as soon as they fall, it might be 10 barriers. They trip over that first or the hurdles. There it is, the hurdles. They trip over that first or that second hurdle, and they don't even try to get back in the race. It's like, dude, for one, no one has even finished. The ultimate prize hasn't even been claimed. But if you would just get back up and start running again, you could probably place top 3, maybe top 5. It doesn't all have to be for nothing, because you could still be greater than the competition that's out there with you if you just get back up. If you believe. And you see certain success stories in hurdles where people fall, they do a little roll, they get back up and they start sprinting again like nothing ever happened. And they usually do come in top 3, top 5 because they didn't quit. That's what needs to happen, right, within this walk. And that's the mind frame that we have to be in. Now, we know there's certain things, it's pretty bad. You might not be able to continue that race. You might get DQ'd if you commit adultery. You might get disqualified if you fornicate. You might get disqualified, for certain offenses and certain crimes. And even then, you might not be able to keep these commandments within a body the way that you were at one time, but you might still be able to be forgiven somewhere. People love talking about David. Apply the faith that David had. Apply the work that David had. Because he realized how much was in jeopardy and how much he really wanted that prize. He sold out to be able to get favor, to get mercy from the Most High, and hopefully still be saved. There really isn't a reason to give up on keeping the commandments. And this is something I was talking not too long ago. I said, we look at Matthew 24, they shall deliver you up and kill you, towards the end. We might even go into that next week. We think about that, and we think about those that are in the truth. Like those who are outside the truth aren't Israelites. They're still Israelites. Whether they accept that they're Israelites or not is irrelevant. Whether they decide to keep the law or continue to be wicked is irrelevant. The blood that runs through their veins is that of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And the Most High had his covenant with all of Israel. He shows us over and over and over again through captivity, we either succeed together or fail together. Yeah. It doesn't suddenly make a person any less of an Israelite because they say, no, I don't want to be a Gentile. Okay, well, a lot of people want to fly. A lot of people want to be. It don't make you anything less or more than what you are just because you won't accept it. We are being delivered up and killed and persecuted because they hate us as a nation. What's going on in Minneapolis? What's going on in Minnesota? The rounding up, the persecution of the 10 tribes of Israel is no less significant just because they won't wear fringes or they don't know to wear fringes. It's still our enemies persecuting our nation. Look in the Maccabees. There were a lot of wicked men and women that were willing to consent to Antiochus to join unto the Greek philosophy of life and forsake the Most High's law, statutes, and commandments and adopt the Greek fashion. And guess what? They were still hated. They were no less Israelites just because they decided to reject the Most High or reject righteousness. That prophecy is unfolding nonetheless. So guess what? When we're talking about this race, now let's go over to Revelation chapter 10. We talking about this race. We talking about the faith because remember, and I didn't even put it in here. That's the crazy part. The 10 virgins. 5 wise and 5 foolish. 5 of them kept their lamps lit. 5 of them they made sure that they had enough to endure that night. Now, guess what? Is nighttime usually warm or is it cold? Is nighttime usually comfortable or uncomfortable? Especially if you outside waiting on somebody. It said he had to open up the gates. That's uncomfortable. You can't see if it's bugs on the ground. You can't see if it's a scorpion on the ground, a snake on the ground. It's harder to see. It's harder to be comfortable. It's harder to relax. It's harder to feel safe. It requires faith to stay there and to endure. And they said, I'm going to give myself the best shot I can by having enough oil in my lamp. That's how your faith has to be. It has to last through this night. It has to last through this hardship. It has to last through this season. So many of us go through tough seasons and it feels like the end. And guess what? It's really not. It feels like you dying from the inside. And, you know, maybe it's shaving some, what you're going through in your mind and your thoughts, maybe it's shaving some years off of your life, but it ain't over yet. Imagine you're going to live to 88 years old. You stressed out so bad one year, it changed to 87. If you 40, guess what? You got a while to go. It ain't over. Death is there's a quote, I can't remember who said it, was a philosopher. He said, before death, all defeat is psychological. Let me look that up real quick. Oh, Jocko Willink. I said a philosopher. He's not a philosopher. He's a Navy SEAL. He said, before death, all defeat is psychological. It means a lot. Let's go to Revelation 10. Revelation 10, let's start at verse 9 and 10.
This is the book of Revelation, chapter 10 and verse 9. And I went unto the angel and said unto him, give me a little book. And he said unto me, take it and eat it up, and it shall make thy belly bitter, but it shall be in thy mouth sweet as honey. And I took the little book out of the angel's hand and ate it up, and it was in my mouth sweet as honey. And as soon as I had eaten it, my belly was bitter.
So when you chew your food, I wrote this down. When you chew your food, it's good, right? But what happens once it reaches the stomach? It sits so it can digest. Your body digests with time, allowing things to sit, and that's when it became bitter. Because with time and years in this truth, that little book, think about it like the Bible. Everybody who professes to be an Israelite realizes they're an Israelite with mirth and gladness. Some people do it with shouting, with joy, with songs, with happiness. Some people do it with tears. Oh my God, I'm just so happy. I finally know why after all this time. Going through it in my life and I couldn't understand. I thought I was hated by God, and it turns out I'm one of his chosen. And it's not over, and I'm not hated, and I don't have to go to hell, and this isn't the end. I'm going to have to serve in this captivity, but at the end of this, there's a deliverance. That part of this walk in this experience is sweet. It's sweet. But when it sits, you 5 years in this truth, 10 years in this truth, it starts to digest. And you start to get more of what being here means. These scriptures come to life. The rebels, the wicked, the issues, the trauma, the false brethren, the fornicators, the deceit. That's when it becomes bitter, because we all think, oh man, I thought when I came to this truth, life was going to get easier. Well, it does, because now you have understanding. And to live in ignorance is a punishment within itself. Not understanding what's going on, confusion, that's what drives people crazy. But to be able to give your pain and your frustration and your trauma purpose, oh man, you have way more of a shot of enduring unto the end and making it into that kingdom. That's what this community is like. That's what this walk is like. It's sweet. Oh, wow, I'm an Israelite. I'm the chosen. Deuteronomy 7:6. 1 Chronicles 17:22. Oh, he's not going to forsake Jacob. Therefore, you sons of Jacob are not consumed. Salvation is for the Jews. It's sweet. And then when you get an understanding of what this walk really requires, the ways you have to grow, the ways you have to break every chain, it starts to become more bitter. It starts to become less exciting and more of a test of your endurance, a question of your tenacity. Do you have what it takes to make the cut? Then you look around and it's that nighttime, and you got to endure. And you can't see the way you would like to see, and you don't always know exactly what's going to happen, and you praying for the best and trying to prepare for the worst. That's when it becomes a little more bitter. And that's when you see people fall away. People lose hope. What was going on in some of these Israelite camps, and it's brothers that we've met from some of these other camps where their leaders have done them wrong, betrayed their trust, betrayed someone that they weren't, and brothers be hurt. Because this is somebody that they trusted, that they loved, that they, was following. And you give somebody what you can muster up, even in captivity. You manage to muster the strength that you have to be able to devote to this cause, believing that somebody's leading you the right way just for them to leave you for their own personal gain and their own personal desires. It's devastating. People start to fall away. People get to a place where they can't recover. They start to lose faith. Let's stay in Revelation and jump over to chapter 21. And let's start at verse 7.
Book of Revelation, chapter 21 and verse 7. Mm-hmm. He that overcometh shall inherit all things, and I will be his God, and he shall be my son.
He said, he that overcomes, because guess what? This is not an easy walk. You have to overcome so much. Things that you never imagined that you would have to experience. conversations you never imagined you would have to have, things you thought you would never have to see, hear, feel. And guess what? Some people do say, you know what, it was easier when I was in the world. Man, I don't know about this whole community thing. It was easier when I was by myself. I don't know about trying to, build a somewhere where we have a safe haven and sending my kids to get this proper education. I think I'm going to just go back into the world, or, public school was better. Some people give up, and they lose that hope, and they don't want to invest, and they don't want to give, and they don't want to assure that what has been accomplished thus far is maintained. Because it ain't about how far you can get, it's about how long you can hold. You can get, let's just say you was climbing a hill, and you get 300 feet up. You like, man, I done made it far. And then you lose your footing, and you slip all the way back a little bit before where you started at. You can tell people all you want to, man, I was already 300 feet up this hill, but what is it worth now when there's nothing left? But people give up. And in their minds, they lose their footing, and they slide back to a place that's even worse than where they started. In order to overcome, you have to face an obstacle. You have to face that discomfort, that fear. And by doing all of those things, it builds your faith. It gives you a level of assurance. It gives you a level of confidence that you can pull from. We talked about Jocko Jocko, the Navy SEAL. Another notable Navy SEAL was David Goggins. And he said every time he faced a challenge and he got to his breaking point, he would go through the Rolodex in his mind. And he would pull from the accomplishments that he already had and the experiences and the memories where he thought he wasn't going to be able to persevere, but he did. This is our Rolodex. Even if you don't have it yourself, to have a level of faith, even if you feel like, man, but I failed more times than I've succeeded. Man, I've made so many mistakes. Man, look in these scriptures. Because the Most High has delivered our people time and time and time again. And when you really start to understand, you really realize we ain't nothing and Israel ain't nothing without the Most High. And none of this was even possible if it wasn't for his mercies in allowing us to return, even though we had been rebellious, even though we had been wicked. It's only because he's kind enough and compassionate enough, patient enough to say, okay, that's enough. Let's try again. Get it right this time. Oh, you got it wrong. Get out. Okay, let's try again. Get it right this. Oh, you got it wrong. Get out. Let's try it again. It's been the same cycle for Israel since the conception of our nation. But the same way the Most High hasn't given up, it's our responsibility to not give up. He's not going to allow all Israel to be in his kingdom. He's not going to allow all Israel to have salvation, but he never fully closed the door for Israel to be saved. He just said, now it's going to be harder. Now it's going to be more difficult. Now you're going to have to traverse these difficult circumstances. You're going to have to traverse these straight and narrow paths or path. You're going to have to go down that straight and narrow to get to that city that's been given to you as an inheritance. And it's difficult. The doubt creeps in. The fear creeps in. It all creeps in. And you have to continue to push and have that faith to be able to make it. He said, to him that overcometh, he that overcometh shall inherit all things. I will be his God, and he shall be my son. Go ahead.
Verse 8. But the fearful and unbelieving and the abominable and murderers and whoremongers and sorcerers and idolaters and all liars shall have their part in the lake which burneth with fire and brimstone, which is the second death.
Now, if I were to talk about a list of tools, hold on, wait a minute. If I were to talk about, let me think of something. I don't know, colors. I say red, blue, green, yellow, hammer. That don't belong there, right? It's out of place. But look at the list that he just gave. The fearful and unbelieving, the abominable, murderers, whoremongers, sorcerers, idolaters, liars, they all go together. They're all equally offensive and equally unwelcome. The same way a sorcerer is unwelcome, the fearful is unwelcome. The same way a whoremonger and a murderer and an idolater and a liar is unwelcome, the unbelieving are unwelcome. That's the same level of offense that the Most High regards being unbelieving and being fearful in his abilities. He said, you might as well be a murderer. You might as well be a whoremonger, a sorcerer, an idolater, a liar. Because remember, what did our forefathers do coming out of Egypt? They doubted, and they were unbelieving to the point where they were adverse to God because they did not believe in him. He said, go up, let's take this land. They started to allow their fear and their doubt to creep in so much that they refused the commandment of the Lord and started to doubt his ability and question and get prepared to kill Moses. All because of doubt, all because of fear, all because of unbelief. He said, they shall all have their part in the lake, which burneth with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. It's not just you need faith, and that's what it is what makes you great. But it also makes you acceptable. It's the only thing that can save you, that can make you acceptable, is to have faith, to be able to push. Let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 1. First Samuel chapter 1, and we are going to read verse 1 through 7.
This is the first book of Samuel, chapter 1 and verse 1. Mm-hmm. Now there was a certain man of Ramathaim Sophim of Mount Ephraim, and his name was Elkanah, the son of Jeroham, the son of Elihu, the son of Tohu, the son of Suph, an Ephratite.
My bad, I know that a lot of them names. But we're talking about the father of Samuel the prophet. Go ahead.
And he had two wives. The name of one was Hannah, and the name of the other Peninnah. And Peninnah had children, but Hannah had no children.
So this man had two wives. Now, one of his wives, she was able to get pregnant. She had kids, multiple children. But Hannah, she wasn't able to at that time. She wasn't, let's read on before I jump ahead.
Verse 3. And this man went up out of his city yearly to...
We could just jump down to verse 5.
Verse 5. But unto Hannah he gave a worthy portion, for he had loved Hannah, but the Lord has shut up her womb.
So, it said he went up yearly to worship and sacrifice. He gave a portion to his other wife, and for her sons and her daughters. And he gave something unto Hannah because he still loved her, even though she wasn't able to bear him children up until this point. But that's still his wife. He still loved her. Go ahead.
And her adversary also provoked her sore, for to make her fret, because the Lord has shut up her womb.
And that's where a lot of sisters fear the polygyny, right? It's not really that the man, you so afraid that you're going to get something out of him that's unexpected. You don't want another woman to be able to be bitter and to provoke you and to just be petty and be like, I'm better than you. And unfortunately, this has always been the case because, mind you, they're in Israel. They know the Most High. And if I'm not mistaken, no, he was an Ephrathite. But they knew the Most High, and they knew their tribes. They knew their fathers. And yet and still, you see two things are common. You see that wickedness amongst the sisters, not being sisters, but you also see the difficulty to conceive. A lot of people, oh, it's so different now because of all the stuff that they put in the food, and there's microplastics in your bottle. And that is true. I mean, they wasn't dealing with receipts with PFASs, and they wasn't dealing with microplastics, and they wasn't dealing with a lot of this stuff. But Hannah was still struggling to conceive because whether a woman has children or not is up to the Lord. Go ahead.
Verse 6. And verse 7.
Mm-hmm.
And as he did so year by year, when she went up to the house of the Lord, she provoked her. Therefore she wept and did not eat.
Mm-hmm.
Then said Elkanah, her husband, to her, Hannah, why weepest thou? And why eatest thou not? And why is thy heart grieved? Am not I better to thee than 10 sons?
So Hannah was bothered. She obviously wanted to have children with her husband. That's the beauty, and that's like the purpose of marriage. You get to be able to continue on a legacy. You get to be able to continue on as far as the nation is concerned. But you also have a bond and something to show, something to measure the years that pass. That child grows up. The years that you spend together, there's a literal physical marker of those years as they've transpired in the form of that child. That child grows up, and then you see that child start to become a teenager, and they get their personality, and they get a little peach fuzz, and then you can look at that child, and then you can look at your spouse, and man, we've been doing this for a while, huh? 20-some years, 15 years, 17, whatever it is, right? There's a beauty in that. But Hannah wasn't at that place yet. She wasn't able to have that with her husband, and it grieved her deeply. And then her sister wife wasn't making it. She was making it much worse because she would mock her and dangle that over her head as if she was better than her because she was able to have children at the time. So Hannah is grieved. Let's drop down to verse 10. Verse 10 and verse 11.
Verse 10. And she was in bitterness of soul, and prayed unto the Lord, and wept sore. And she vowed a vow, and said, O Lord of hosts, if thou wilt indeed look on the affliction of thine handmaid, and remember me, and not forget thine handmaid, but will give unto thine handmaid a man child, then I will give him unto the Lord all the days of his life, and there shall no razor come upon his head.
So remember, Hannah she had prayed and was desiring children year after year. Every year when they went to sacrifice and her husband was giving her portions, she had to see that growing family. Another year, another child. Oh, this one's getting older. That one's getting older. This one's, oh, look at him. He's got his first chin. She's saying all this stuff. And then she's hearing these grievous words, and she's hoping year after year that the Lord is going to look upon her and open her womb. A lot of people are conditioned to believe faith is just as much of an emotion as love. Right? People think, of course I love you. I feel this warm, fuzzy feeling every time I get around you. Yeah, but what happens when that feeling leaves? Faith, people regard faith and what they believe is love in the same way. They believe, because faith, when you feel a level of faith, you feel a level of intensity, you feel a level of drive, you feel that warmth, you feel that little tingle in your brain, you feel driven, it's exciting, it's exhilarating, right? It's electric. But faith, just like love, is easy when it feels good. When it feels warm and fuzzy. And I'll do you one better. When you get to see instant results. How faithful are you? How much has your faith been tested? When, as soon as you began to start an enterprise or start on building or constructing something, it starts all falling into place and just instantly works out for you. How much is your faith really tested? Probably not much. You got to have a little bit of faith to even get started, but if it starts just lining up and everything's working out perfectly, you don't have to have too much faith before you at the finish line. Before you know it, you look up and what you look to accomplish is done. Hannah was going year after year, hoping. Year after year, getting mocked. And she didn't give up and say, you know what, I'm not going to sacrifice unto the Lord. She stepped it up and said, Lord, if you give me this man child, which I'm hoping so badly for, I'll make sure to give him back. Hannah had to have that faith for years. Hannah had to endure that season for years. She had to endure that night of her, that nighttime in her life and in her mind. It was there for years before finally she vowed that vow and the Lord said, okay, deal. And guess what? She ends up getting pregnant. Drop down to verse 17.
Verse 17. Then Eli answered and said, Go in peace, and the God of Israel grant thee thy petition that thou hast asked of him.
And her husband said, okay, because he asked her, he like, man, I know you going through it. I'm pretty sure he must have known something that was going on, but he's not able to stop every moment of every day. And he sees her praying, and he like, man, she must be drunk, because she was praying, but there were no words coming out. And she was like, nah, I'm not wicked, and I'm not drunk. She said, she was praying her heart out, as they say. He said, okay, well, you know what? Whatever it is that you ask the Most High, let it be given unto you. Because a man has the power to disannul his wife's prayer, but he also, we see he has the authority to be able to say, you know, Lord, if you're dealing with me, or, you know, if I would like for this to happen for her, answer this prayer, please. Sure enough, she conceives seed. She weans the child, and then she sends him off to be in the service of the Lord. Let's go back to Hebrews chapter 11. And let's pick it up at verse 11. So we're talking about faith, right?
This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 11 and verse 11. Through faith also Sarah herself received strength to conceive seed.
Oh, Sarah herself. Abraham and Rebekah, Isaac and Sarah. Through her faith, she received strength to conceive seed. Oh, I'm sorry. Isaac and Rebekah, Abraham and Sarah. Kind of throw out. You know what's crazy? As I said that, I was like trying to review but still make the point. Sarah had faith. And through her faith, she received the strength to conceive, to get pregnant. So now you skip forward to modern day. It's a number of Israelite sisters who struggle to be able to get pregnant. No, I don't know what's going on, and I don't understand. And of course, you didn't try it for 6 months. You gotta be infertile. Like, where's your faith at? What level of faith do you have? When you being intimate with your husband, do you be like, we gonna do this again, but it ain't no point? Or do you say, Lord, please let this be the time that I'm able to conceive. I know that you're able. I know you are a living God and a God of the living. And you give life, and you can allow this to be possible. Are those what your thoughts sound like? Or are you pessimistic? Scriptures say, if you pray, don't be double-minded. And it says, let that man not think that he's going to receive anything from the Lord. Yeah, it's not easy when you're discouraged. Yeah, it's not easy when life is beating you down. Yeah, it's not easy when you're living in a life where you're already in captivity. And then you like, man, dang, it's hard to get established. And I'm kind of broke. And I didn't have the best childhood. And I'm struggling to make ends meet in other ways. And I got to deal with this BS because my family doing this and this person doing that. This coworker don't like me and I don't like that. You got all this stuff to manage. And you got to still be a husband, a father, a friend. And you still got to be a wife, a mother, a friend. And you got to contribute to the nation. And yeah, it might make you feel overwhelmed and discouraged at times. But you still have to have a level of faith because that's where your strength is going to come from. Now, mind you, when we're talking about getting pregnant, that might be the furthest thing from a woman's mind. We get taught in health class, this is just what happens. Be careful because when you have sex and that man releases inside of you, that you're going to get pregnant. And they just make it seem like every woman that's ever been intimate with her husband and he releases like, oh, I told you what was going to happen. Then you get, and then they show you all these, 16 and pregnant shows. These girls they had a boyfriend in high school and they messed around and laid down one time and he got too excited and twins. Then you have a grown woman who gets married and has a husband and she's actually trying to establish a family and has a household and has the law and the Most High and has something to give to her children and has some experience. And then she is blown away and so confused and devastated as to why this hasn't happened. Because they said it only needs to happen one time. And they make it seem like it's just an automatic. It's just a given that when you're intimate, you're going to get pregnant. And then you got all these other things that you're dealing with. And then you got that inherited belief from the education system. And then you feeling even more discouraged. No, it's a test of your faith. You got to, just like with everything else, the Most High is going to be a factor. The Most High has to be a factor. The Most High is the factor. That was the difference. And not only did Sarah conceive seed, let's continue on. Or you can start from the top of 11, please.
Verse 11.
Uh-huh.
Through faith also Sarah herself received strength to conceive seed.
Uh-huh.
And was delivered of a child when she was past age, because she judged him faithful who had promised.
When she was past age, what was she, 90 or 99? She was in her 90s. Women be, I'm already 23, it's over. It's like, dude, you're still so young. Then they make it seem like, by the time you hit 30, like, you haven't had, it's done. Like, yeah, ain't no chance. Like, dude. 40, I don't know what you're thinking at this age. It's like, bro. Sarah had a baby in her 90s. She was well past, what is it called? Menopause. She was well past it. She wasn't still having cycles. That had stopped a long time ago. Yeah, our forefathers lived longer, but they still got old. And remember, their experience, even though they lived longer than the average person today, their experience was still to understand after a woman hits menopause, she's no longer fertile and it's impossible for her to have a child. She had already settled within herself, that's probably not going to happen. And I'm sure her husband did. She ain't going to get pregnant. That's why when the angel came and gave them the news, he was like, what? You expect us at 99 and 90 years old, she's going to have a baby? He was laughing. But guess what? She heard that good news and she believed this is going to happen. And then guess what? It's easier to do it when you believe. I'm pretty sure she went and got some herbs. Hey, babe, I need a couple of, what was it back then? I need some shekels. Let me get a couple of shekels. I'm going to go get some mandrakes. Let me get a couple of shekels. I'm going to go get some tonkat ali, some ginseng, some maca root. Oh, what's up, babe? You going to go get some maca, huh? Because she's like, yeah, but not just because we're going to enjoy each other the way that we have, but there's a purpose as to why we're going to be intimate. Because the angel has already given us the news that she's going to conceive seed. I'm pretty sure at that point, she's probably like, maybe, she might not have felt as motivated or as excited, or the desire came here and there, but, it's just for pleasure. But when she realizes, it's been prophesied to me by an angel of the Lord that she's going to have this baby, I'm pretty sure it became a lot easier to invest in preparing to be a mother. Well, hold on, maybe they changed a couple of eating habits. Maybe they changed a couple of behaviors. Let's get even tighter on this. Well, we should go start looking at cribs. Let's prepare. Well, I know you was going to go out and buy this, but, maybe we should save some of this money, because once we have this child, we want to be able to have some money. When you start thinking like that and you start moving like that, and you have some substance behind it, it's going to happen. Through her faith. And it wasn't just that she had faith, but it says, she judged him faithful who had promised. She said, the Most High, I know he keeps his promises. So he wouldn't have told her that if he wasn't going to do it. She knew it was coming. So let's start making these adjustments and accommodations to prepare for this child, because we know he's coming. That's faith. And through that faith, she was able to get pregnant. Like I said, if you're in that situation or you're in that scenario, how much of that faith are you applying? What's your prayers look like? Are you believing when you walk away from that prayer? And then again, it might not even happen instantly, because it's still going to be a testing of your faith. Well, do you really believe in the Most High? If you prayed one time, think about this. If you prayed one time, you got everything that you asked for right when you prayed for it, everybody would be righteous. Because it's easy. If there was no struggle and no difficulty in this walk, everybody would be transitioning from wickedness and difficulty into the ease and relaxation of righteousness. Every Israelite across the globe would be keeping the commandments. And even the heathen, hoping that they got some Israelite blood in them, would be trying. Well, let me just see if it works. They say as soon as you put on your fringes, you get enlightened. And the first thing that you pray for, from there on, you get everything that you ask for. Yeah, our neighbor, he found out he was an Israelite and asked for a Ferrari. He had one the next day. It's like, if it was happening like that, everybody would be righteous. But because it requires faith, because it comes with delays, because it comes with difficulty, because it comes with frustration, disappointment, or discouragement, most people are not faithful. And most people don't even desire to be righteous. You know how many people will look at the lifestyles of Israel, even if you're really trying to do your best, they be like, man, you ain't doing no better than me. I don't see why I should change. You over there hoping just like I'm over here hoping. But we like, yeah, but we hoping in the Most High, whereas you're just hoping in the universe or the ancestors or whatever it is that you believe in. And they're like, man, whatever. But there's a difference. We have real hope. Like the scriptures say, we're not as other men. We have real confirmations. We have real evidence. We have substance. Not just hoping for this just because we need something to believe in. Look, if I could read in Deuteronomy 28, and the Most High said, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, and to all that I command thee this day, his statutes, judgments, his statutes, laws, statutes, and commandments, all these curses shall be upon thee. And you look at your life and you see all these curses playing out. You see, we know about slavery, even though we haven't experienced chattel slavery like our forefathers for the most part. You see the slavery. You see the hatred, the Deuteronomy 54, 55, tender and delicate woman. You see the gang banging. You see the violence. You see the hood. You see the ghetto. You see being the tail and all these other nations being the head. You see the man groping at noonday as in darkness. You see homeless people all the time. They over there yelling and arguing with themselves. Man, see, I told you to stop playing. And oh, bro, you over there by yourself. Like, oh man, these curses are real. Well, if the curses are real, then the blessings are real. If he did what he said he was going to do as far as the curses are concerned, I believe he's going to do what he said he was going to do as far as these blessings. I believe the same way he put our forefathers in captivity, which we are the descendants of, still paying the price, I believe that the salvation he promised, if we repent, is also still available. And guess what? Even though you may still have your moments, it becomes a lot easier to be driven to want to maintain because you believe. Let's read on.
Verse 12. Therefore sprang there even of one, and him as good as dead, so many as the stars of the sky in multitude. And
I'm sorry. Sprang there even of one, and him as good as dead, so many as the stars of the sky in multitude. From these old parents that thought that their lives were already finished and thought that their time had already come and thought that the next thing waiting, the next life event that would be life-changing was the death of one of them, the child came. And of that child, through that child, not long after he was there, he had a son. And through that son, a nation as a multitude of stars. Everything changed for them because of that faith. Go ahead.
So many as the stars of the sky in multitude, and as the sand which is by the seashore, innumerable. These all died in faith, not having received the promises, but having seen them far off, and were persuaded of them, and embraced them, and confessed that they were strangers and pilgrims on the earth. For they that say such things declare plainly that they seek a country.
He said all these, they haven't received the promises. The scriptures show us in Revelation there were those that are righteous sitting under the throne of the Most High. And they're saying, how long, O Lord, will those that persecuted, that are responsible for our deaths, how long are they going to be allowed to be on the earth? They haven't been given entrance into the kingdom, but they're like, for lack of better words, in the lobby waiting to go in. They haven't gotten the promises yet, but they believed in so much that they stood firm in the faith and are worthy to receive it. It said, for they that say such things declare plainly that they seek a country, because for the vast majority of our history, we haven't been in our land. It's delivery after delivery, captivity after captivity, and it's either we're in our land and then we end up messing up and getting kicked out, and while we're in the process of repenting and getting back right or serving our captivity, we're desiring and seeking our country. Here we are today, 2026. No different than the testimony of our forefathers, still seeking our country. Go ahead.
Verse 15. And truly, if they had been mindful of that country from whence they came out, they might have had opportunity to have returned.
It said, and if they just would have kept that faith and just been mindful of the country that they came out, they would have been able to return. Or they would have had opportunity to return. But guess what? Through some captivities, that's why you have the Babylonian captivities, also known as the Babylonian exile. Some in Israel, they was like, we like it here better. They gave up on even seeking the country. They gave up on even being a nation. I'll just stay here in Babylon. And it's no different than today, because a lot of our people, they fancy the ways of Babylon over the ways of the Most High. Why are you going to put your daughter in a head covering? She going to take, what? She going to take that, this is our culture. Girds, tunics, fringes, head coverings, garments. This is our culture. Oh, but you like Babylon. This is where you want to stay at. Stay here then. That's what you want. What do you say? Thy judgment is thy own. I want to go home. I don't like it here. I don't like being looked at. I don't like being treated like a nigga. I don't like being looked at like one. I don't like being bottom of the barrel. I don't like fearing for my life. I don't like having to figure everything out. I don't like how much we have to do just to be able to have basics, to survive off of basics. I don't like the lack of community. I don't like the issues and the drama. I don't like the fact that I don't even know I can't speak fluently my own language. I don't like that we don't have a temple. I don't like that we're so disconnected from our culture and heritage. I don't like the fact that these museums across the world are filled with our artifacts and significant moments of our history. And I hate the fact that as of right now, there's nothing I can do about it directly. I want to go home. We want to go home. You like Babylon so much? You can have it. I promise you, you can have it. I don't like it here. Let's read verse 16.
Verse 16. But now they desire a better country.
Because we desire a better country. You looking at Babylon like this is the best thing since sliced bread. It's really not. This is the cage of every foul spirit and every hateful bird. Thus saith the Lord. And you know what's crazy? It's really not hard to see. When you see people grab rifles and go up and just shoot elementary schools up, it's really not hard to see how much this place will destroy you and your mind and your people. You can go on and on about the sexual impulses people don't control, the assaults, the death, the murder, the hatred, and you want to stay here? Imagine if you grew up living in a septic tank, but the feces and the urine was low enough to where you could lay on your side and be able to breathe, but it was just barely. And you saying you want to stay here instead of getting cleaned up and getting taken home. You can have it. You don't want the culture that we came from? Hey, not everyone's going to make the right choice. I can only exhort you. And I'm hoping for exhortation. Hey, it's only so much you can do. Somebody don't want to save themselves. We seeking a better country. Go ahead.
That is, and heavenly, wherefore God is not ashamed to be called their God, for he had prepared them a city. By faith Abraham, when he was tried, offered up Isaac, and he that had received the promises offered up his only begotten son.
Abraham was so faithful that when he finally got that son that he thought was going to never happen in the first place, and he even was laughing at the angel like, man, in our 90s we finna have a kid. He finally got that son, and then, am I mixing up the story again? I am mixing up the story, huh? Abraham, no. Isaac and Rebecca. No, wait a minute. Hold on. Now I'm getting it too mixed up. Abraham had Isaac in his old age with Sarah. When they finally had this son, because mind you, this is his son. They have this son in their old age, and yeah, they had Ishmael. Well, they didn't have Ishmael. Abraham had Ishmael and Hagar. They didn't have Isaac. Sarah didn't have a child with Abraham. And then boom, in their 90s, here comes Isaac. And then he gets told, hey, you know that son, that was an absolute miracle, that it took a literal angel to come and speak to you for you to believe that you're going to have this child? Go kill him and shed his blood, because now God wants his blood. And Abraham took his son up to the mountain and was prepared to slay him, to offer him back up to God through his faith. Mind you, I'm pretty sure he didn't understand what was going on, but he was going to be faithful regardless. Go ahead.
Verse 18, of whom it was said that in Isaac shall thy seed be called.
He was told, your lineage is going to continue through Isaac. Yeah, Ishmael is technically your son, but that's not who the chosen people are going to come through. Your seed are going to be called through Isaac. Isaac is not at this point a grown man. He's a boy. He's a young man at best. He's a boy. He hasn't had a wife. He hasn't had any children of his own. And Abraham is confused as all get out. Why, if I'm supposed to, my nation and my name and my lineage and the righteous are going to be established through this, my son, and the angel told me and the Lord told me, he's like, why would I kill this kid? He confused. And the information he's been given is conflicting. But he said, you know what? This is what you want me to do, Lord, I'm going. Go ahead.
Verse 19, accounting that God was able to raise him up, even from the dead, from whence also he received him in a figure.
So and mind you, I might need to go back and read the story. I don't ever remember Abraham's thoughts being shared way back in Genesis. I don't ever read that Abraham was like, the Most High is probably just going to bring him back to life. He'll probably heal him and seal his throat up. And he doesn't say, but way in Hebrews, it's revealed. That was Abraham's thought process. Well, I mean, the impossible has happened before. In our 90s, my wife got pregnant and we had this boy. So he thinking, because he's confused, he's conflicted. So he like, man, well, this is the same God that let her get pregnant decades after menopause. He's probably just going to give him back. He's probably going to heal him and return him that way. Yeah, he said my seed would be called in Isaac. This is probably what's going to happen. So he's reassuring himself and finding some kind of evidence to be able to go forward and complete the mission. And we didn't know that way until Hebrews. Our forefathers that read about the story of Abraham and Isaac, they didn't know what Abraham was thinking. They didn't know during the times of Christ what Abraham was thinking. But way in Hebrews is it revealed that Abraham was reasoning within himself, God is able. He's able. Go ahead.
Verse 20, by faith Isaac blessed Jacob and Esau concerning things to come. By faith Jacob, when he was dying, blessed both the sons of Joseph and worshipped, leaning upon the top of his staff. By faith Joseph, when he died, made mention of the departing of the children of Israel, and gave commandment concerning his bones. By faith Moses, when he was born, was hid 3 months of his parents, because they saw he was a proper child, and they were not afraid of the king's commandment. By faith Moses, when he was come to years, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter, choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of God than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season.
It says, so Jacob had to have faith to be able to bless not his son, but his grandsons. By faith, believing that the Lord would allow the blessings that he was putting upon them to stand and to be so. Joseph, when he died, making mention of the departing of the children of Israel, and gave commandment of his concerning his bones. Moses. Now, baby Moses, he might have been so young he couldn't even comprehend the faith that was in him, or the faith that was in his mother, that something, look, I'm going to put you in God's hands. She could have easily said, because it was a lot that was going on. They were killing children, baby boys specifically, because they knew a Savior was going to come out of Israel as a baby boy. And so his mother tried to hide him as long as she could, but I mean, a baby cries. And then, when they first born, they so small and so little, they had that little tiny cry. It's that little faint cry. Then as they get older and them lungs get stronger, they start crying. It'll wake you up. They in nighttime in Egypt, in a foreign land, in captivity, trying to hush baby Moses in the middle of the night, trying to hurry up and wake up and hurry up and get him to stop crying, because there are people that will take his life if they find him. And she finally got to a point where she said, look, I got to do something, because this isn't going to work forever. Is it not crocodiles in the Nile? But she put him in a little raft, and she said, the purpose that God has for your life is going to be fulfilled regardless. But I know that this arrangement right now is not going to work. Of all the people, and that's the whole thing. Maybe that's something else we'll talk about. You can't stop purpose. You can't stop the Most High's purpose. Of all the people he could have been discovered by, he wasn't discovered by one of the Egyptian midwives that was commanded to kill all the baby boys. He wasn't discovered by another Israelite that could have hid him and allowed him to be raised by his people. He was discovered by Pharaoh's daughter, the one person in Egypt that could actually protect his life. The one person that actually had the power or the favor with Pharaoh to be able to convince him to spare this child. And you don't think that Pharaoh realized, like, hey, sweetheart, you're not married. And well, they practice different. They practice a lot of sexuality. But he still had enough common sense to say, hey, sweetheart, I've never seen you pregnant. Where did you get that baby from? And then it's not like no newborn baby. That baby got some meat on his bones. He can kind of cry loud. This baby's a few months old. Where did you get this baby from? She was able to protect Moses and raise him up. What would have otherwise been impossible. And then by faith, when he realized that that was his people, he was like, man, I'd rather be out there with my people. I'd rather be out there suffering the affliction of my people rather than living a life of luxury and sin. And he chose to, do we read 26? Let's continue on.
Verse 26. Esteeming the reproach of Christ greater riches than the treasures in Egypt, for he had respect unto the recompense of the reward.
Esteeming the reproach of Christ greater riches than the riches in Egypt. Let me get this definition real quick. Might even just end up concluding right here because we're running out of time. An expression of rebuke or disapproval, the act or action of reproaching or disapproving, a cause or occasion of blame, discredit, or disgrace. He said the disgrace of Christ, the rejection that he was going to get in the service of Christ was way better than all the riches he was going to receive in Egypt. And he chose that path rather than all the life of luxury that he could have received. And look at his name, still to this day being mentioned. Still to this day we talk about Moses. Still to this day we talk about how he was used to part the Red Sea. And still to this day, he has his salvation awaiting. For the sake of time, we might even do a part 2, but we're going to call it right there. All praises to the Most High. I hope this has been edifying. I hope this has hopefully inspired or planted a seed, even if it's just a mustard seed of faith or a mustard seed of hope or a mustard seed of the will to carry on for somebody. That's enough. All praises to the Most High. Shalom, Israel.
I made it out this world because if it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be.
Mr. Wilson would've known.
Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me.
So good to me.
Yeah. Wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yeah, how it's been good to me.
So good to me.
Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on